Welcome to Old Man Sports Talk. I'm your host, Old Man Nate, and today we're going to talk about the OU football spring game. It just happened just a couple of days ago. And, I'll be honest with you, I don't really, when I watch the spring games, it don't matter what team it is, whether it be Georgia or OU, Colorado, it don't matter who it is. I really don't invest a lot of um, interest into it to try and take things from it because it, you know, a lot of times your key players that are going to be back next year, they don't play, or they don't play very much, that sort of thing. So I just want to give you that heads up, that pointer first. But I will say the 6 and 7 season the Sooners are coming off of, this probably was one of the most important spring games they've had in years past, simply because you do have your returning quarterback, but you've got one, if not number two, most anticipated freshman quarterbacks coming into this country or coming into the season. And him and Archie Manning. Archie Manning went to Texas. Jackson Arnold went to OU. Both Big 12 schools, both enrolled early. So they went through the spring practices, and they're going to be battling it out, not just, well, they may not battle out much this year, but when they head in the SEC, they're going to be battling it out for at least a couple years there, if not more. And so just a little peek at what the future has in store. That's always interesting and bring out a lot of fans, and a lot of fans they overreact when they watch these spring games, and they think that certain players should be starting right away. And so I just want to give you that. Like, I don't really take a lot out of it because, again, it's not a real game. They even do their own scoring system. Each seems like every school has their own way they're going to decide how you get points and stuff. And some schools will actually divide it up into a first and second team, or a little bit of each on both sides, and have kind of real games you can. And OU's is a little different. They had offense versus defense. So the defense got points by getting stops, getting sacks. By saying getting stops means making them punt or turn the ball over on downs, getting sacks, getting interceptions, that sort of thing. And tackles for loss, all those got points for the defense. I don't remember how much each one was, but I will say this: the defense was winning by a lot there for a minute. It seemed like it was about 30 or 40 something to 6 for a long time. Offense mostly got points by scoring. Okay, so I think they could have got points off a couple other things too, but it was mostly scoring. So, anyways, it was good turnout, great turnout. The Sooners had over 54,000 there to watch them. The stadium holds 80 something thousand. So it's not a sellout, but it's over halfway. It's over halfway. So that's a good turnout, great turnout for a spring game. And it was a cloudy, muggy day, chilly. Probably wasn't that bad for the players, but the fans who would just sit there, it was, not the greatest of weather. But they stuck it out and got to see a little bit of football action. So now we'll talk about what do I think. Well, before we do that, if you haven't yet already, please take the time right now to like and subscribe and ring the bell. That way you get notifications, and turn your notifications on to all. I do live videos, I do shorts, I do tapings. Like, this is going to be a recording, so click it to all. That way you get notified every time I release something. And like I say, if you haven't already, just go ahead and take your time to do that. Also, go to oldmancoffee.shop and order you some coffee. Okay, like I said before, we got 47 different types of flavors. We got the grounds, we got K cups. And while you're at it, get you an Old Man Sports Talk t-shirt or get you a tumbler. Okay, we're still having our special right now. If you get a tumbler, and by the way, the tumblers come in, like I told you before, the big one, 30 ounces, they come with a straw. You see it right here. The black ones come with a straw. We have 30 and 20 ounce tumblers, and we have a special right now. If you buy you a tumbler or a t-shirt, you'll get you a 12-ounce bag of coffee for free. Or if you buy two t-shirts or two tumblers, no matter what size tumbler, then you'll also get that coffee for free. So go ahead and take that time right now. Log on over to oldmancoffee.shop and get you some coffee, tumblers, or t-shirts. So we're talking about the offense first, okay? I will say this: the offensive line. We're gonna start with the offensive line. That's where the football starts, right there in the trenches. So my take on the offensive line is really I don't have a take right now on offensive line, and I'm gonna tell you why. There was a lot of injuries that happened. And I don't think any of them were serious. At least I haven't heard of any that were serious. But still, enough injuries that your key players couldn't play, or enough of your key players couldn't play to where you could see really what the offensive line was going to do. We had the defensive line was able to get pressure. We had trouble running the ball. So I'm going to say right now, the offensive line is undecided. I'm going to put it undecided right now. Don't know if it's good or bad, but our offensive line is going to determine just how good offensively we're going to be this year. We all know the Sooners can put up points. It don't matter who. Well, it doesn't matter who's behind quarterback. I tell you, we learned that last year too. But what else doesn't what doesn't matter is who's catching the ball or who's running the ball. But it does matter who's blocking. So if our offensive line is not doing any better than Saturday, it's going to be a long season. I'm not going to say we'll lose 7 games again, but it'll be a struggle to win or to compete in the Big 12. Wide receivers is probably the thinnest we've been in years. We do have Drake Stoops returning. We do have Freeman returning. And we do have Farouk returning. Those three receivers are back from last year's team. Now, Freeman he did play some, but he didn't play a lot. And he was a walk-on, and he ended up getting a scholarship. But that right there, in a way, says a lot right there. When a walk-on is getting playing time, then the guys who got a scholarship aren't doing their job. They didn't do a good job. And so there's some questions on the receivers. We did, however, pick up after the spring game. We did pick up a transfer from the University of Texas at wide receiver, who I do think will contribute right away, as long as he can pick up the system. I don't know how complicated Jeff Levy's system is. I mean, we've seen, like I said, Freeman was a walk-on freshman. He got playing time last year, so I don't think it's that difficult of a system to learn. And he's not a true freshman either. He was on Texas team for 2 years. He didn't get a lot of playing time, and that's why he left there and came over to the Sooners. But he's a speedster, just like Freeman. He's just like Freeman, only stockier. Can probably break tackles a little more. But I'd say he's probably closer to Drake Stoops' size. However, a lot faster. He got Freeman's speed. So he's a track guy. He's going to run track at OU too. So I think he'll come in right away. But other than that, we cannot afford injuries, especially between Farouk, Freeman, Graham, or Thompson. Okay? Running back. We're loaded at running back. Okay? We got Barnes and Shawchek returning from last year, who both of them had great games in the bowl game. We got Marcus Major still in the squad, who, remember, 2 years ago against Florida, had like 200 yards rushing in the bowl game, and we thought he was going to come out and break out last year, and injury slowed him up, and he fell down the depth chart. But he is still on the roster. And he still can tote that rock pretty well. So that's three really good running backs. Freshman Hicks looked pretty good on uh, on Saturday. And let me tell you something. He's like a Samaje P. Ryan. Not quite as probably not quite as tall as Samaje, and not quite as bulky yet. However, he's got them tree trunk legs. So when you're down by the goal line, you know who's getting the ball. Hicks getting the ball. So he'll probably get several touchdowns this year if we're down there on the goal line, which goal line was a problem for us last year. So he's going to help us out a lot right there. I can already tell you that. Tight end. So Austin Stogner returns to the Sooners after leaving for a year to South Carolina, and we're going to need him. Tight end is probably the thinnest position we have. I mean, I said wide receivers thin. We got receivers. I just don't know if we have talented receivers other than the four I mentioned. And Stogner is probably the only tight end we got right now that is really good. We do have a transfer in also with that from Hampton Fay from Michigan State. But he played 2 years at Michigan State and didn't see the field at all. So I don't know how good he is. We did have a couple tight ends that were injured and couldn't play this weekend, but they've also like done some other things. Like they went down to a Division II college and got a basketball player to play tight end, and he didn't even play. He's never played college football, so I don't know how good he is. I heard that they tried to move even our fourth string quarterback to tight end. He's not Blake Bell, but they tried to move. He'd probably be better at tight end. I'll tell you that. Y'all seen him play last year as our backup Bevel. Yeah, I think he probably has a better chance seeing the field as a tight end than he does a quarterback this year. So, in quarterback, of course, we got Dylan Gabriel and Jackson Arnold returning, or I'm sorry, Dylan Gabriel returning, Jackson Arnold coming in. Those two guys, it's Dylan Gabriel's job. Jackson Arnold's going to learn from him. He'll get to see the field a little bit this year, but I don't, unless there's an injury to Dylan Gabriel, I don't expect him to see a lot of field, and I definitely don't expect him to play more than the 4 games. I expect them to use his red shirt still if they can. That's what I plan on them doing. Big disappointment. We talked about the wide receivers. Jaden Gibson. If this would have been a real game, Jaden Gibson may not have seen the field again this season. They would have gave other players opportunities because he dropped at least 4 passes, including the game-winning 2-point conversion attempt that Jackson Arnold hit him right in the hands on. And he dropped another touchdown pass. He dropped a couple first downs. I mean, they hit him right in the hands. It wasn't. We're not talking about like he got hit at the same time. No, they should have been caught. Every one of them should have been caught. And Jaden Gibson, maybe sometimes when you drop that first one, it becomes a mental thing. But the best thing to do is to catch one, and then you're over it. And he better be out there, acting like it's game time every time he catches the ball here in practice. I'm not sure if they continued practicing this week. I think they may have had a couple practices, and that was it. But then they'll be allowed to do 7-on-7 drills and that sort of thing. So when the Sooners here recently in the last few years, whenever we watch something like the spring game as fans, the first thing what we really try and watch is the defense, okay? Because the defense has been our struggle for like a decade, it seems. It has been the weakest part of our football team. It's like I said, it seems like a decade. So we always, when we watch the spring game, we kind of hope that, hey, we're going to be better this year and what we're going to see in the fall. And I'm not saying you can take a lot out of it because, again, sometimes you don't have your best players playing. Or it's not like playing a real game. Heck, they had a running clock on it and everything. So it's not the exact same thing. Yeah, you got fans in the stands. You get to actually hit people and that sort of thing, but it's still not the same thing. But I will tell you this: um, I did watch the defense pretty hard, and at first the defense was dominating the game, which was exactly what I wanted to see because we've got offensively, we got enough to win games. We did enough. The 7 games we lost last year, all but one of those games we lost by a touchdown or less. And our offense did enough to win the games. It was our defense that was 1 or 2 possessions away or 1 or 2 plays away from getting us to win. So we want to see a significant improvement, not just a little bit, because if you got a significant amount of improvement, then you can still have some mistakes and still be winning the game. When you got a little bit of improvement and you still have making those mistakes, it doesn't mean it's going to be enough. So I will say this: I'm going to mention some players that I really, really impressed with in some fashion or another this year, this past Saturday. I don't know. This first one I'm probably going to chew his name up, but his last name is Adebaware. He's a defensive line, he's number 34. He's a true freshman. And I got to tell you, he chased down Freeman, who's one of the fastest players on the team, behind the line of scrimmage. They ran a jet sweep. He chased him down. So I like his speed. Now, again, he's a freshman. How much time is he going to get? We'll see. Keep working. He could get a lot. Number 80, Bothroyd. He also a defensive lineman. He's a senior. He transferred in from Wake Forest, and I believe he's going to see significant playing time this year. And he's big, so he can clog up. He can deal with them offensive linemen. I'm not sure how fast he was. I heard some other people thought they was impressed with his speed, but all he got to do is be a run stopper, and we're good. Number 22, Peyton Bowen, freshman, true freshman. You might remember him. He's the one who originally committed to Oregon, and then apparently his national letter of intent didn't get faxed into Oregon, so he had a change of heart and decided to come to the Sooners, and that one did get faxed into OU. So he's at OU. He's wearing red and white, or on Saturday he was wearing white. But if you ever watched the Sooners enough, you have seen our secondary get torched time and time again, where a wide receiver is running right down the field all by themselves, a defensive back nowhere in sight. And that was one thing I was impressed with our defense this past Saturday. You really didn't see it. You definitely didn't see it on the long pass. There was a couple of them on short touchdown passes that were wide open, but not the long ball. And the Sooners did go deep, and Bowen was right there with the receiver and made an interception. So I was impressed with that. He didn't go for any fakes. He didn't. He did play. He played exactly how you're supposed to, and so I was impressed with that. I think he'll get some playing time right away this year too. Now, number 94, Isaiah Coe. Now he's a returning defensive lineman, but he looked really, really nice this past Saturday, and also number 88, Jordan Kelly. Both of them were getting pressure on the quarterback. Now again, all you got to do is touch the quarterback, but they were getting right up the middle. And again, and like I said earlier, starting off with offensive linemen, I don't know how bad that was. Maybe I can't judge it. Was our defensive line just that good, or was our offensive line that bad? And I'm probably going to say I'd probably lean towards our offensive line was that bad, but I would also say our defensive line has improved. Okay, as you notice, I've already mentioned 4 defensive linemen has impressed me. So I can't really 100% judge it that it was them. I think it was a little bit offensive lineman not playing very good also, but the push up the middle. That right there, any offensive lineman should be able to hold you one on one. It's when they make the moves that they get confused on. Now, this next guy, he got a chance to be all Big 12. He was made all freshman Big 10 last year. He got a chance to be all Big 12 this year, and that is number one, McCullough. He's a transfer. He's a sophomore. He transferred from Indiana, and like I mentioned, he made all freshman in the Big 10 last year. I thought he had a brother come with his younger brother came with him, but maybe he's committed for 2024 because I didn't see looked through the whole roster. I didn't see him. But anyways, he's 6'5". He's probably I didn't see his weight, but he's probably about 225. He's tall and he's lean, but he's fast. He plays the position. They call him listed as linebacker, but what he really plays is what we call our cheetah, or it's kind of like a nickelback. It it only we bring you in for linebacker coverage also because you can cover the run and you cover the pass. So we run that a lot of time. I'd say 90% of the time what our defense we run to help. So if you got 3 wide receivers or you got 5 wide receivers, we can stay in that coverage either way. But he looked good. He looked really good. He was in there on run stops. He was in there on pass breakups. He was in there on the receiver as soon as they got the ball to him. He's able to hit them, making completions. So he looked really good. I would say he's probably my player of the game if I was to give one. And then the last one is also a transfer, number 21, Pearson, defensive back, who transferred from Texas Tech. He's a senior also, but he looked really good. So look at that. I just named 1, 2, 3 transfers already and 2 true freshmen. That's 5 guys on the defense, first time wearing a Sooner uniform, and they impressed me. So that says a lot. Brent Venables is bringing in the right guys. Now, again, we'll see what it looks like come fall, but they looked good. They'll have a few more months to prepare for the season. We'll have a couple of, not so challenging games at the beginning of the season. If we can just evade the injuries, then it'll give us a chance to become more of a core, and we'll see where it goes. So my takeaway is I was impressed with the defense. The Sooners lack depth at receiver and tight end, and possibly even, I will say right now, probably offensive line. So if the Sooners can get their offensive line together, the receivers will come around. They've got enough talented receivers to get the job done, and you just can't get no injuries. And as long as Austin Stogner stays healthy, you really don't need a second or third tight end to, they can go 5 receivers if they need to. They can bring, when Thompson comes on, they can bring him if they need to. So we'll see. I'll make my predictions here in a couple of weeks. Like I said, on Saturday, if I didn't say it already, thought I did, but maybe I didn't. This Saturday, I'm going to do a preview show. Won't even be as long as this one. This one's almost 25 minutes already. It'll probably be only about 10-minute long show, and it's only I'm just talking about the previews for each conference I'm going to do. I'm going to give the dates, and so you guys will be ready and be looking forward to those shows. Anyways, like I said, if you haven't already, please take the time at this time to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. So that way you get notifications on all of videos that I drop, no matter what type of video it is. And select all on there also. And also, if you haven't already, take your time and go to oldmancoffee.shop and get you a t-shirt, a tumbler, or some coffee. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and following Old Man Sports Talk, and we'll see you next time.